It is season 2 of our very special STEM podcast, Lab Report. Welcome back. We are so excited to be bringing in the new season. A lot of really good vibes. We're taking some really awesome classes, got some really good rest over break. So we're bringing some new energy. We hope you guys are excited to see what's to come and willing to match that. Oh my gosh, I didn't even say our slogan.
I know. I was about to say, and remember to live, love, lab.
Exactly.
So
today we're going to start off with a bang. Not sponsored. And
only STEM majors would have to be not sponsored for a bang video.
Yeah.
To say bang.
We do not condone bang.
Only yerba mate.
Yes, yerba mate is great. As a bang survivor, I cannot in good faith tell you guys to drink that. Anyway, we are graduating in a couple months.
I know, it's crazy. I just think that, I keep on saying this, but a lot of times, not a lot of times, but usually you kind of, you have to finish high school and college is usually the next step. And then after that, no one really, it's up to you.
Thinks that far.
Exactly. No one really thinks that far. So it's definitely a scary time, a very exciting time. I'm so excited to be done with school. I know we're both going back to school, but
for a long time.
I know, for a long time. But we're going back to school, but it's for our specific, interests and what we want to do specifically in the future. It's not general school where we have to take all of these classes to graduate. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're not going to be taking theology and religion classes.
Which, I did really enjoy. The philosophy classes.
I know you really enjoyed I enjoyed the higher level ones. I really enjoyed philosophical ethics. But, the sacred texts and whatever, the first philosophy and,
Yeah, that's fair.
And, advanced, what is it? Advanced literature, advanced
it
history.
is a lot. History,
oh my God, no, I got such a bad grade.
And that's why we're STEM majors, talking about STEM stuff.
Exactly.
But yeah, so we're graduating, and of course with that comes the big question of what's going to happen next. So today we just wanted to talk about those next steps, and a very big one that a lot of people in the STEM field take is a gap year. When you're looking into postgraduate education especially, gap years are very popular in order to build a better resume, get more experience, especially because it might be hard to get that when you're an undergrad, or even just to smooth out the kinks in what you want to do in your future. So we're just going to talk a bit about that, some misconceptions, our own plans for the gap year, things that you guys can consider doing, and if you're on the fence about taking a gap year, what you might do during that. Hopefully this episode is helpful to you guys.
For sure. So gap year, yeah. I think you should kind of kick it off because I always knew I wanted to take a gap year. Just even after the first year of college, I still thought I was going to go to med school, but every single year of college, really took it out of me, and especially after I started doing research during the summer, obviously it wasn't as nearly as intense compared to college, but, I just haven't really gotten a break in a really long time, and that's very important for me, some time to explore other interests, or not even other interests, but, just some time where I get to decide what I want to do and take the time to really think about my future, because in college, you don't realize, especially when you're in STEM, sometimes it feels like time moves so slowly, but in reality, 4 years, we just finished 4 years, or we're about to finish 4 years of university, and I remember, it was yesterday, sitting next to you in bio lab, and being lab partners, and now I'm TAing biolab.
Yeah,
So,
isn't it crazy?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. I guess I could start off then, because up until June of last year, I was dead set on just applying straight. And it definitely was a very big shift in mentality and planning when I decided that it probably would be a better idea to take a gap year. So basically, from the moment I came into undergrad, I had a plan. I was like, I'm going to go to med school, I'm going to do neuroscience, and these are all of the things I need to do that. So by my freshman year, like around February, March, I was already shadowing people in a research lab. I was already working weekends in a doctor's office. I had volunteer work going. I had all these things going, and I was like, okay, I'm on track. I'm going to make sure I can apply straight to med school when it comes time in like junior year. So everything's going well. I'm like keeping on top of the committee stuff. The like February of last year rolls around. I do the whole committee meeting. It goes pretty good. I'm like, okay, it's time. I'm getting ready to take my MCAT. Everything seems like it's on track. And then it just becomes like a cascade of things not going well. First off, we were taking orgo, physio, and then a couple other like
and
comp sci, a bunch of like loaded classes. So I did not have time to do anything.
Urbanism.
Yeah,
That
it was like a ton
heavy
of reading, a ton of
class.
work, a ton of studying, and it would be like at the end of, first of all, I wasn't sleeping because I had so much work to do.
Oh my god, that was a really, I remember,
It
that
was
was
bad.
the, I think the worst Talia not sleeping
Yeah,
era.
I was literally a zombie that entire semester. But then on top of that, it was like every waking moment I was just doing some kind of work. And because of that, time was just passing by and I wasn't putting any energy into what my application's going to look like. I wasn't putting as much energy into preparing for the MCAT like I should. And just all of a
I mean,
sudden,
you were studying for the
I was
MCAT a
studying, but
lot.
okay.
I mean, it's just like
Okay,
at
maybe
that, like you were studying every single day for the MCAT.
Yeah, I was.
So while we were taking orgo and had an exam every 2 to 3 weeks.
It was a brutal time. And then icing on the cake, I go in to take it, and then there was this like, I'm not going to get too much into it, but let's just say there was like a nationwide situation that happened that messed a lot of test centers up, and a lot of people were not ready not prepared because it never happened before.
I mean, it was just a glitch in
Yeah.
the exam.
And then like that coupled with the fact that, I mean, obviously I had a lot of test anxiety going in, and then it was like, oh shit, what's going on with this section? And then things were derailed. Anyway, after that, I was like, okay, I could probably retake it and do better, especially because at this time I was like, oh, I want to do MD PhD. So, like, I really need to make sure I hit every single mark the best way possible. And then May rolls around, AAMC is like opening up the application portal. I'm still trying to study for an orgo final, a comp sci final, an animal physio final, and then June 1st comes. I'm not ready to submit anything, and you want to submit your application early. And I had to sit down and I was like, okay, let me be honest with myself. I can use my procrastination, anxiety, push stuff out skills and knock a whole application out right now and apply with a score that's like, it's okay. And maybe regret the fact that I had all of these really good extracurriculars and letters of rec and things going for me, but I weakened them with my urge to go right into med school. Or I could take a year off, work really hard on these with a lot more time, take a lot more time to study and maybe get an even higher score in the MCAT, and then apply with my best foot forward so that my application's intentional. So I decided to take the year. It was really hard. I had to email everyone and say, hey, so remember how we all thought I was going to go straight through? I'm not. But everyone was very receptive to it. And a couple people also brought up a really good point that because I always had such a heavy load of classes and working and extracurriculars, it would probably be good for me to just get a break. The longer I sat with the decision, the more I was like, this is actually like the best thing I could have done.
Because also now what is going to be on, like, what are the, because there was also the aspect of you making this decision was everything you were going to do during senior year that you could still add to your application.
So it's not even like I'm not just getting a year to like relax, getting more time to work on the
And
application.
also relax, like we're saying relax, like that's
It's
a very
relative to,
loaded
like, yeah.
word that we're using. We mean relax in comparison to waking up at like 6 or 7 every day and just spending your whole day, or in Talia's case, just like working throughout the whole entire night, you know, and just having 3 STEM classes with labs attached
like
to them.
19 to 21 credits a semester.
Yes.
Homework, even your weekends aren't full because you're working. You were playing sports.
Yeah.
Like, it's having more time to like be a human, basically.
Yes, basically.
And yeah, literally in my senior year, we started this podcast. We have a club coming. I'm now in like a program at Albert Einstein Medical School, so that's gonna look good.
And you should talk about that a little.
Yeah, I will. I'll definitely add that in. I was able to do another year of my charity. Now I've hit like $10,000 raised altogether.
Oh my god, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
Congrats!
thank
Yay.
you. But so much can happen in a year. It really, there's so many benefits that come to taking the gap year. So yeah, that's my very long-winded story of how even though I was dead set on making it like straight through, and maybe I could have, like in the grand scheme of things, derailing to go for a gap year did not set me back or end up being something where I'm like, oh, I'm probably going to regret this, or oh, I'm disappointed that my plans have changed. A level of flexibility is really important when it comes to deciding what you want your future to look like.
Exactly. And, you know, there's like a weird stigma around gap years. You'll either hear people saying that it makes you look worse, or you'll hear people saying that it's worse if you just apply straight to grad school or med school without a gap year. And the reality is that like it doesn't really matter, you know, like you just have to do what feels best for you and what feels the most right for you. And I know people who are taking a gap year, who are not taking a gap year and have applied and are getting in and doing interviews right now. And I know people who are planning to take 2 gap years, you know, whether it's for grad school or med school. And especially like I'm TAing a class now that Talia TA'd last semester, and it's a PCS bio lab class. Shout out Dr. Flores because I'm TAing for him and he's, you know, a committed listener to this podcast.
And hopefully you guys will actually see him
Yes,
soon.
we're trying to get him on. We want to get him on the pod.
We want to do a lot of interviews in the future.
But it's also interesting because, you know, it's a PCS class, so everyone has graduated already, and they're taking this class because they want to go into medical school or dentistry or basically into STEM. And, you know, they didn't know they wanted to do that really in undergrad, and, you know, they're taking the time and doing that now. So, you know, it's never a bad idea to consider it. And also, if you don't want to take a gap year, like, don't take a gap year.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. You know yourself best, and you know your chances, you know what you've done. And just because there are benefits that come with taking a gap year doesn't mean you have to take it to be successful. Everyone's journey is different, and you can get something different out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The reason I'm taking a gap year and why I always knew I wanted to take a gap year is because I really wanted to go abroad during college, but being a STEM major and also being on squash, that wasn't possible. Like, as soon as I brought it up with Dr. Udenas, she, like, said that it's not possible and I should consider it for the summer, like, find a lab to go to in the summer. And, yeah, I mean, I'm originally, like, not from America as well, and traveling has just always brought me so much joy, and just finding new places and traveling the world, and that's, like, something I want to continue doing until I die. Seriously. And I want to go into the pharmaceutical industry. However, being an undergrad, it's very, very difficult to get any exposure to that. Like, Dr. DeGrandy's the only person I know at Fordham or really know who's worked in the pharmaceutical industry. And again, that's just one person, you know, and that was how many years ago. And I kind of just wanted to see what's out there more. I wanted more time to explore my options, to explore schools, to explore programs, to really also figure out like what is a PhD? Like what will I be doing at this if I go to this school, if I live in this place? And I just don't have time to do that. Like if I was not taking a gap year, I would have had to be doing all of that during the summer when I'm doing research and figuring stuff out with like scholarships. And then I would have had to apply all of last semester when I was still taking biochemistry and, taking all of these very important classes that are helping me figure out too what I like and what's important to me. And this year has taught me a lot and has taught me a lot about myself and, has taught me more and just like opened my eyes to different things I can do. And just that I have a lot of options. And that's the scariest part is that you just have so many options. And I just really want some time to sit with all of them and research them and try my best to figure out what is the best one for me at this time. Because I'm also expecting to like choose something and go into it and be like, oh wait, but this seems really cool too, or I actually kind of want to go into this route. And I just think that's like going to happen for the rest of if you go into a career in research, which I want to, you're just going to keep on finding out and discovering new things and being like, I want to go do that and that and that. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that is actually a really good transition into the whole idea of like, what can you do?
Yeah, that's true.
There are a million options for things you can do now that you have, or if you take the gap year, now that you will have so much time. Whether it's refining what you want to do in your future, traveling, and just building your worldview and sense of self. Oh.
That worked. That worked.
That worked. Yeah, traveling and like building your worldview and sense of other cultures, other places, doing prep programs, doing post-bac programs that kind of build your readiness. And we can kind of get into all of that.
And also, like, if you just want to have your own project, I mean, go and do that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, if there's something that you're really passionate about and want to go see, like, I don't know why this is coming to my head, but something like marine biology in Australia, or if there's something about Australia's marine life that is super different from, like, Europe or America, and you want to go and explore that, then, like, go and do that,
Absolutely.
And again, there's so many opportunities and things that you can do in America and other places that, I mean, a gap year is just a great way. And like post-grad, just anytime, 2 gap years, 3 gap years, whatever. It's just a great time. And it's the best time to explore all of this because,
Absolutely.
You're more aware of yourself, of your likes, of the world. And yeah.
So I think even like just plugging a few of them. For example, like there's, in line with what you said about like traveling, doing a project, I know there's things like the, not me blanking as soon as I have to talk about it.
I literally know what...
Do you know what I'm talking about? Where like you travel and like you like teach in a different country?
Yes, I'm thinking about that too.
Why did I forget what it's called right when I have to talk about Rockefeller? No.
I want to say Goldwater, but it's not.
Where you travel.
It's so big, and I wanted to do it originally too. That's what I was going to do before or apply to.
Fulbright.
That's what it is. I was about to say something else.
There are things like the Fulbright where you get the opportunity to do research and teach, I think, in a different...
It's a whole thing. I mean, you go on it and, I mean, there's like different ones you can apply for, and one of them is just do research, and you have to have like an idea of what you want to do in a project, and then they'll sponsor you to go to that place and explore. Right. Or if you just want to use this as an opportunity to travel and kind of give back, you can just do it you can just teach English in a different language. And I think there's more, but those were the only 2 that I really looked at when I was considering it or considering applying.
But these kinds of programs are just a Google search away. That you can even use ChatGPT and be like, hey, give me
ChatGPT is actually great for that.
Yeah, because it's like a glorified Google. Like you can give very specific directions and say like, oh, I'm looking at a program that also gives me a stipend because Not everyone has the means to just take a year and like do whatever they want. You're looking for like a job in this, and like it gives you really good building points to work off of. Trying to think, there's a lot of prep programs like I mentioned before. Ones like, let's say you're interested in PhD, med school, MD, PhD. There's a lot of programs at universities and hospitals and stuff that are willing to take people in, give them research experience, and like train them up so that when they do apply to these programs, they have a much stronger application. There's a lot of research assistant jobs you can
those
take.
programs, one of them, I know Columbia has a really good one, which is pretty easy to get into from what I've heard, like a prep program.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like 80% acceptance.
Oh,
So it's just a 1-year program. Mount Sinai has a really good one as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for bearing with us. Welcome back. Sorry for those technical difficulties. But as we were saying before, there are just many prep programs that you can look into, whether it's Columbia, Mount Sinai, even the NIH has a program. It's all just a matter of doing a Google search using ChatGPT, but there's so many out there, many that offer stipends or some kind of compensation, so you're not just working and having to find like another job to support yourself. It's all just a Google search away. So always make sure you start early. A lot of these programs have deadlines as early as February 1st, so you want to be on top of it if you're considering a gap year. But otherwise, I think you're still allowed some flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, deciding to take time off is a very big step. And even though there are some... I don't know if you guys can hear that. Okay. Even though there are some programs that have shorter deadlines, there are still ample opportunities that you can find at whatever timeline you're working on.
And I mean, I just think like the main thing is to figure out what you're interested in and what you want to explore more, and then find opportunities or experiences that align with that. Because as we said, there's just ample opportunities out there, and it's all about, figuring out what you want to do and then going from there. Like how I got to where I'm going to be for my gap year. I'm going to go to South Africa for like 8 months and work at a pharmaceutical company, intern there. And yeah, it's called GES. It's in Cape Town in South Africa. And I mean, my number one thing, as I said, is I wanted to travel, and I wanted to go somewhere that was super, super different. That's why I said the weird marine biology Australia thing, is because Australia was like the first place I was considering, because most of my family lives in Europe, and I love Europe so much. But again, I wanted to go somewhere like super different, super far, just complete like, for my gap year, go somewhere crazy, and then come back to America and like buckle in and start my PhD. And yeah, and then like this company in South Africa, like this opportunity presented itself, and I was like, yeah, like South Africa, that's super cool, that's amazing, and I would love to go. And I sent the guy who runs it my resume and my CV, and we held a meeting, and but yeah, this is like kind of a similar message Talia and I have been reiterating throughout this whole podcast. It's just putting yourself out there and making yourself known and available to all of these people. And don't feel bad if you don't respond to their email. You know what I mean? If it's not for you, it's not for you. But don't let that be a reason why you don't reach out. Even if it's something super unlikely and you're just a little bit interested, just reach out and ask a couple questions, because maybe that is what you'll end up doing, or maybe what you actually want to do will fall through. So it's always good to like maintain these connections. And yeah, just explore your interests and opportunities that align with them, because it really is just such a quick Google search away. And I mean, that's just what everyone's doing nowadays,
Yeah, never be afraid to advocate for yourself. at the end of the day, you're your biggest advocate. And once again, always exhaust your connections. Even if one opportunity isn't for you, that doesn't mean that person doesn't know someone who might be able to help you out.
Also, another thing to remember is because a gap year also, and just like any time after you graduate, it's kind of this like awkward time because you don't, I mean, especially with STEM, is most times you need higher education, all times, every time. If you want to go into career in STEM, you have to have higher education, right? That's like a statement I could make.
Basically.
I mean,
besides, like, I mean, I could see someone who's in like comp sci or like one of those.
Yeah,
getting
that's
a job
different.
out.
That's
but
different.
For the most part, you do.
For the
need
most
some
part,
kind
you need some kind of higher education,
of,
and so because of that, you're not going to be able to find like an opportunity that is exactly what you want. Like exactly what I want is to go and lead my own team and come up with different experiments and, you know, like go straight into the pharmaceutical industry. But I can't do that, obviously, you know. Or like I want to be working on like antiviral, what's it called? Like treatment plans, you know. But anyways, obviously as just a college grad, I'm not going to be able to just walk into Pfizer or a company of that caliber and be a part of one of those labs, you know? And so it's just about finding opportunities that have like at least one thing that is really, really important to you. So traveling is really, really important to me, and it being in some realm of pharmaceutics is important to me, and that's why this opportunity, like going to GES, even though it's not the exact type of chemistry and the exact sector of the pharmaceutical industry I'm interested in, it's still a great opportunity, and and they just started clinical trials, so I don't know if I told you that, but I get to like observe that whole process and how it works, which I'm really excited for. I didn't even say what it was. It's like a cannabis extraction lab or company, and I don't want to. Okay, hello guys. Sorry for that reorganization there, but yeah, my mic wasn't really working. Why didn't we do this earlier? I don't know.
This would have made more sense, wouldn't it?
It really would.
Yes,
look at us STEM majors.
I know, figuring things out. That's on scientific method. Anyway, continue talking about the cannabis lab.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, that's super cool, and it's a great opportunity, but I don't want to go into... I don't even know how to call that, the cannabis medical marijuana. That's what it's called.
The cannabis company.
The cannabis pharmaceutical sector. No, I don't want to go into medical marijuana research, really. Anyways, I just took my two big things, traveling and pharmaceutical industry, and I tried to find anything I could, and I'm super excited.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Thanks.
It's very exciting stuff. Yeah, and I mean, I also want to echo the fact that we are both very fortunate to have had some kind of idea of what we wanted to do, enough to the point where straight out of undergrad, we're able to say, okay, this is what we're going to do next, and this is how we're going to do it. A lot of people's journeys are going to look different, and that's okay. Whether you end up taking no gap years or 5 gap years, it does not matter what your timeline is, as long as you're constantly, I guess, planning and shifting your plan so that you're not just kind of doing things blind. As long as you're being honest with yourself, checking in with yourself, saying,
exactly,
like, okay, I tried this thing, maybe I didn't like this, let's pivot to something else. And you're just keeping, like, your core goals and interests and motivations in mind. It's okay if your journey doesn't pan out the way you expected it to be or look like someone else's, because it doesn't make it any less valid. You can still end up exactly where you're meant to be and in just as good a spot, if not better, as someone who didn't take any years.
And I just want to reiterate something you just said that's really important is check in with yourself, because a lot of people don't talk about that and just gloss over like, oh, I have some feeling like I'm working in this lab and I have some negative feeling about this specific aspect or some positive feeling about this specific aspect. A lot of people just brush off those feelings as, oh, it's natural. Obviously, like I'm working, I like it, I don't like it, and they just kind of like keep going. But it's always important to, yeah, exactly as Talia said, check in with yourself, see if your goals are still the same as they were last week or a month ago or 2 months ago, or if you feel like something has changed or you saw something at your job or online or whatever that seemed really interesting to you and you want to explore that more. Just continuously check in with yourself, ask yourself if you're enjoying this track you're on. Just keep in mind like your future goals. And if you have no idea what you want to do in the future, that's totally okay too. As we said, there are so many different routes you can take within STEM. And I guarantee you, if you don't like something, it will be in STEM and you are going down that route, it will be pretty obvious to you that you want to do something different or that you don't like it or that you do like it. Like, that's the great thing about STEM is if you want to do something in STEM, you kind of like, you either love it or you hate it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And I mean, that's kind of what happened with me for medical school is the longest time I was like, I'm going to medical school. I want to go to medical school. I know I want to. And then I really sat with myself and was like, wait, but do I want to go to medical school? Like, and I broke it down in my head, like, what does medical school entail? 4 years of medical school, then 1 or 2 years of, I think it's 2 years of interning. And then I don't know how many years of residency and I don't know how many years of fellowship, but then you're in attending. And that is just like the very basic, like just the basics of it. You know what I mean? Like you still have to consider the MCAT and then the intern exam and then your boards and then getting matched and all of this stuff. And it can be a very exciting process, but I'm not like, I don't like to take exams. I mean, I don't think anyone likes to take exams, but I'm not especially...
You'd be surprised. I've heard of clubs where people just do standardized testing.
That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. Okay, well, I really dislike taking exams, and especially multiple choice exams. And that is what the MCAT is. That is what medical school is. And yeah, I kind of just realized that, like... It wasn't for me, and that is not my journey. And as much as I love medicine and the medical field, it's okay. It was sad. I was very sad. I cried, but I feel a lot. Anyways, I think we should end it kind of soon, but that's basically, my little spiel.
Yeah.
Like,
if you have the privilege to really explore in such a way and take so much time to like really try things out, because obviously like a lot goes into that, a lot of flexibility and money. Sometimes not everyone's able to do that, because your career is going to make up such a huge aspect of your life living in this corporate America. You want to make sure you're doing something where like you truly feel like served by it and there's something that can motivate you to show up every day. So, as Sophia said, like, really listen to yourself, check in with yourself, make sure you find something that, like I said, has some kind of motivating or serving factor where you feel like you could do that for a very long time.
But also, with money, it during this time, it is hard to, like, find positions that do give you money for research or whatever it is, And especially if you're like an undergrad doing research in a lab, very often it's not paid, and then you have to apply to these scholarships. And I know a lot of people who worked to sacrificed a little bit less time in the lab so they could make a little bit more money and still support themselves. You know what I mean? You're still getting lab experience and you still get to put it on your resume, and you just unfortunately can't go in every single day. if you wanted to. And also, if you want to go abroad and do something like that and the position isn't paid, at every single country, there are many, many families looking for things like au pairs, or, there's just like all of these programs. So basically, I'm just saying that if you found something you really, really like and it's not paid, it's not the end of the world, because all it takes is a little bit of reorganizing and some creativity, and, the world is your oyster, truly.
Thank you guys for tuning in today.
We're very sorry for the technical difficulties, and if this episode was a little all over the place because of it, but our focus for this semester is definitely to get some people on that we can interview and leave you guys with some really lasting advice, so you don't just hear us talking over and over again. And I know we keep on saying it, but we're in the process. We're reaching out and we're asking people to come on the pod, okay? Like, we're doing it. They just have to, also want to as well.
But I mean, also, we're reaching out to, like, professionals, like teachers, researchers, stuff like that.
So they all have their own life. Exactly. Like we, are taking our art classes and et cetera, but other people have their real lives going on.
Right, naturally. So
I'm making fun of us. Because,
So yeah, this season's going to be very interview heavy, just to give you guys some different insight. Some more, not that our insight isn't valid, but some more valid insight from people who've done it already and who are currently doing it. And then hopefully season 3 will be us reporting back to you guys about the gap year experience.
Yeah, us from the gap year. We want to keep this going. We're leaving this pot, but we're leaving Fordham, but we're not leaving you guys.
Yes.
Our 20 viewers. Even less.
If
even.
Our
it's
3.
It's like my mom and
5 stars. We'd like to
what
thank
what if the 5 stars is me?
We'd like to thank our 5 viewers: Dr. Flores, Sofia's family, and Dr. Rodenas.
Does your family not watch our pod?
My sisters. That's 7 people.
Your parents don't watch our pod?
My parents don't know technology.
Okay.
They watch it when my sister puts it on. And then there are some freshmen who do watch, so shout you guys out.
Thank you. Thank you, freshmen.
Appreciate you guys.
Continue sharing our pod.
Yes.
And please, please, please tell us what you want to hear, and if you want to hear from any specific teacher. It gives us so much joy. Don't be embarrassed. Don't feel weird about it, because we would be over the moon if you guys gave us some recs.
Yes. Actually, if
and
you
some feedback.
Listen all the way to the end and you see one of us, do this.
No one's gonna do that. No one's gonna do that.
What's a signal? What's a signal they could do so we...
It's from the Hunger Games.
No one's doing that. Okay, wait. Do a...
This is Talia's.
Give us a little...
No one's gonna do that.
Okay, what about a... Wait.
What about a...
That is really funny. I'm sad. Okay, if you watch the podcast, just give us 4 fingers. Because we're 4 lifers.
What is this? What is that?
This is our new sign. Wait. Lab? Wait. Lab?
Well, you can't do an R. Loser, lame-o, wannabe.
That was crazy.
You should do this.
Lab.
No.
I'm going to come up with one that you guys can do to signal to us that you guys have been watching.
What is LA?
I think... Wait, no, it's a...
LA.
L... Wait.
Wait. I feel like I cooked.
Wait, that kind of eats.
I cooked.
Wait, how the fuck did you do that? Oh, because it's reverse for you.
I cooked.
Lab. Wait, just do a heart. We love the lab. Wait, no, this works. Because the L for lab and then the R looks like a report.
So true.
Okay, so if you listen this far and you listen to our podcast, do this. It's just a L and then a cup and combine them, and we will know that you're a fan, and we will give you a big fat hug, and we'll blow you kisses because we're so happy that you're supporting us. With that, a little bit of an odd start to the first episode, but it'll only go up from here. So stay tuned. We're having some great people come on to do some interviews, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, guys. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.